I just learned this new vagus nerve technique. So speaking of nervous system regulation, the more we can have our vagus nerve kind of firing well, where it's alive and well and supple and functional in our body, instead of being kind of sluggish or sleepy. And speaking of what I just said a lot about kids, I remember as a kid doing this with my mouth just for fun, like moving water from maybe nothing in your mouth, just air or water where you kind of go to one side, go to the other side and back and forth. Well, I just recently learned that this isn't just a playful thing. It's actually a very good vagus nerve toning exercise. So remember, the vagus nerve comes out toward your eyes and ears as well as going down along your esophagus and innervating a lot of the rhythm of your heart and a lot of your internal organs. But we also have these branches of it in our face. So when we puff out one cheek at a time and breathe that way, and then puff out the other cheek and breathe in and out, and then both cheeks in and out, this is a vagus nerve. Bilateral stimulation is also the reason the EMDR works for healing trauma. Excellent, exactly. So this, left, right, situation is so good for our well-being. So we're going to do a beginning pranayama technique with this as we begin. So just so you're looking at me before you close your eyes, we'll puff out one cheek like a chipmunk, right? And we're going to inhale and exhale while that cheek is puffed out, and then we'll switch and we'll do a few rounds on that side, and then we'll do both at the same time. Okay. All right. So close your eyes and just take a moment to ground yourself. Don't worry about your cheeks. No chipmunk cheeks just yet, but just come into a state of presence with yourself. Close your eyes, drop into your body, drop into the weight of your pelvis, the weight of your legs, kind of feeling that grounding as much as you can. And open yourself up to a long, spacious spine. Relax your shoulders, relax your face completely. Melt through your eyes, through your skull. Just let yourself land here, kind of suspending all the to-do list that's coming later or the ruminations of what happened already, but just being here. And for a moment, notice this sense of midline through your body. Maybe pay attention to your third eye, pay attention to the center of your palates. Maybe pay attention to the spine itself or the center of your heart or where your collarbones meet your sternum. Maybe feel your belly button and notice the movement of your navel as you breathe. Maybe noticing the very center of your pelvic floor and how it moves when you breathe. And just feeling that center line through your body. Pay attention to your breath now and notice, is there anything blocking the free flow of your breath? Notice the fullness, maybe an ujjayi inhale and an ujjayi exhale, where we really pay attention to the slow pace of breath. And then when you're ready, let's puff out our right cheek and just let it get full like a chipmunk. And start to find your breath within this movement, keeping hold of that air pocket. Hopefully, a few rounds of both your inhale and your exhale, and just noticing after you've just spent some time paying attention to symmetry, the feeling of asymmetry. And maybe some stimulation through your face itself. The skin on your face may feel different. Maybe you feel it all the way up into your eye. And then relax that. And let's do 2 or 3 rounds on the other side. So fill up your left cheek. It doesn't have to be, filling up the tank where you get so extreme where you're gripping and tensing. Just let a big pocket of air be there. Relax through the base of your skull. Try not to take tension. And then when your next exhale comes, we'll relax that and just find ease. And notice, is there any place where you gripped or tensed when we did that? So let's see if we can relax those places. Be very mindful of your neck, your shoulders, your skull, your face, your mouth. And we're going to just move through an inhale and an exhale on one side and then switch. An inhale and an exhale on that side and switch. And we're very used to doing alternate nostril breathing, which is a different thing. But get that sense of just moving from left to right, a full round of breath on one side and then a full round of breath on the other side. And let's try to do 3 rounds of breath on each side. Again, there's not a lot of tension. You don't have to grip this. You don't have to push your cheek out to its most extreme ballooned state. Okay, just find a nice, gentle stimulation of one cheek and then the other cheek. See if you can let, as your cheek expands, the sensation to expand all the way around your face, that it's not just this hard pocket of air that you're pushing and gripping, but that you're noticing the asymmetry through your whole face. I'm talking a lot, so I'm not doing this repetitively like you are. But once you've done 3, relax again. See if you can just settle your face into ease and softness. And then when you feel ready, I'm not sure where you are in the process, but when you're ready to do both cheeks, we'll fill up both cheeks and we'll take 3 breaths with our cheeks fully inflated, both on the inhale and exhale. And again, no gripping, no tensing. Be at ease with this. Take your time, and when you have completed 3 breaths, just relax. Notice some awareness in your face and recognize that just stimulating your face is a big important part of stimulating the vagus nerve. So maybe the next time you're have some water in your mouth, you can kind of bounce it back and forth between one cheek and the other and play. Get your playfulness on to gargle, to push water from one cheek to the other. See about going fast, see about going slow. Just play with some water in your mouth. And gargling is just yet another really good stimulation for the vagus nerve. Notice if you feel a little calmer. Let's bring our hands together and invite our parasympathetic nervous system to stay online and awake as we begin our practice. Bow in and offer an intention here. Okay, and then release the hands. And let's find our way onto our back. All right, so as you stretch out and lengthen through your body, enjoy. Maybe stretch your right side a little longer and then stretch your left side a little longer, and just notice the beautiful expansiveness of your body. Something so simple as this can feel so pleasurable. So let's remember to keep the joy in our bodies. And then knees into your chest. And let's rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And relax. Find yourself at ease. And then hang on to your knees and let's circle. Kind of roll your knees one direction a few times. And then roll your knees the other direction a few times and just enjoy the ease across your sacrum and your back. Let's open up our knees away from the midline and bring them back in toward the midline, and just enjoy opening up your hips a little bit. And of course, pay attention if there's any joint that's saying hello in a special way to you that you need to take care of. Notice that so that you can be very mindful of caring for your body in the way that it needs. Okay, let's hug the right knee in and let's move around in our ankles. Wiggle your toes, get some of that mobility rolling in your body here. Our freedom of our joints, the mobility of our joints is ever so important. We can pump iron and run hard and work cardiovascularly and strength building and all these things, which are great for us. But we also really need to pay attention to our mobility practices. Simple things like this are very important. Let's cross the right knee over to the left and stretch open to a nice twist. Feel free to move your arm around if you want. Turn your head if you want. Rock a little bit if you want. Just kind of notice what the body's looking for. And then we'll come back, bring that knee into your chest, pick up your head, a snug hug, and then we'll switch sides, head down, left knee in, move around in your ankles again. Wiggle your toes, keeping your feet very mobile and responsive is so important for our balance. Okay, so let's just really enjoy. I know some of you know I sprained my toe a month ago, and oh boy, the amount of balance challenge when your big toe is not working properly is shocking to me. So let's remember how important keeping our feet alive and free is. Cross the left leg over to the right and stretch open to your twist. Breathing here, maybe a little bit of movement in your shoulder if your body wants that. Maybe you want to turn your head. Maybe you like pulsing or rocking a little bit in this twist. Just see what wants to open up in your body and your breath. And then come back to center, pick up your knee, pick up your head, get squeeze, and then stretch your limbs out to a star. And let's roll around in our wrists and wiggle through our fingers. We grip things all day long. We hold things with our hands. Let's enjoy the freedom. Big breath in, stretch, puff up your cheeks while you're here. Hold your inhale and squeeze everything. And then release that and draw your knees into your chest. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, pick up your head and hold your exhale and squeeze your face. And then relax your feet onto the ground. Windshield wiper your knees left and right. And feel free to swing your knee a little deeper into the twist if you'd like. Just wake up the spine in some rotation. Feel your hips start to wake up a little bit. All right, and then put your feet onto the ground. Pick up your right knee and swing it out in a big circle. So just, big circle with that knee, just one leg, and then stabilize through the left leg as you do this. A little bit of core, just finding some mobilization in that hip joint. And then put your right foot on your left knee and come into a reverse pigeon pose. A little bit of movement if you want to. So feel free to rock side to side or circle or pulse your left knee toward your chest. We don't have to be a static pose just yet in our practice. And then release that. Put your right foot on the ground and let's open up our left knee into some movement. You can hold your knee if you'd like. Keep stable with your right leg. You can also let go of your left knee and just let the hip do its things. Just rolling into some circles here, and then place the left foot on your right knee and come to a reverse pigeon pose on this side. And again, maybe in the beginning of your practice here, let movement happen. Rock a little bit, pulse a little bit, circle a little bit. What's going to kind of let that hip joint and all the fascia and tendons and ligaments around it warm and loosen a little bit. All right, and then lift your legs straight up in the air. Let's flex and point our toes while we're up here. Maybe even throw in a point where you point your toes and then just flex your toes, but your feet stay pointed, and then flex all the way. And then separate your feet a little bit, circle through your ankles, move around in your feet. Stabilize through your core. Arms are down at your sides, ribs knitting toward the ground. And let's open up the legs like a V and then close them back up again. And just notice the hip joints. Are they doing symmetrical things, or does one hip feel a little more available for this movement than the other? All right, and then we'll draw the knees in, come to a happy baby pose. Grab onto your feet and drop the knees toward the ground. Feel free to rock a little bit, just getting into a deep flexion of the hip joints. Find your breath. All right, relax. Roll over onto your side and come up to your hands and your knees. Find your way to all fours, and let's start moving through some cat-cows as you feel ready. Arching and rounding the spine, taking your time to feel that full range of motion. So we've opened up our legs a little bit. Now let's feel that full movement of our spine. And feel free to wag your tail or circle your pelvis or move through your vertebrae, rippling into any kind of movement that your body is calling for. Make sure you're breathing while you're here. And then settle back toward a child's pose. Walk the hands out in front of you and reach. Feel some dropping of your sit bones down toward the ground, and let's move into some movement of the pelvis here. So come on up on tall fours. Draw the tail underneath you and drop back with your back wide open. And then come back, lift the tail. So move into a little bit of an anterior tilt and drop back, and notice the soothing nature in your lumbar spine. Okay, one more time each direction. Up on all fours, tuck the tail under, draw back. Back up on tall fours, lift the tail, and come back. Simple things, really good for keeping us mobile. Come all the way over with your left arms over to the left. See if you can stretch through your ribs here and enjoy that side body stretch. Grip your finger pads so you can drop your hip down and feel that full length of your side body. Bring your breath here. And then over to the other side and feel that reaching in your body. Full breaths. Maybe your toes are curled under, maybe your feet are flat. Your choice. And then come back to center. Come up on tall fours. If your toes aren't curled under, do that now. Put your feet together, big toes, ankles touching, and drop back like child's pose and stretch open through the bottom of your feet. And then come back up on tall fours. Reach the left arm up in the air. Roll your wrist around, wiggle those fingers, and drop the shoulder toward the ground. Twisting open through your spine. Find your breath. And then face the ground. Wide collarbones. Breathing deeply. And then we'll reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Before we do the other side, turn your palms or your fingers so that they're facing toward you, palms wide, curl the toes under, stretch back like a child's pose, and maybe pulse a couple times here, opening up the fronts of your forearms, getting your wrists to stretch. And then relax that up onto your shins. Big breath, arms up to the sky. Exhale. Hands back down. Switching sides now, arm up. Give your wrist a nice little roll, and then drop that shoulder down. Twisting this way, breathing deeply. Opening up between the shoulder blades. Feel that rotation of the spine. Feel the compression around your ribs. See if you can breathe into that. Maybe facing the ground a little bit more. Stretch the back side of your shoulder if you'd like. And then we'll bring that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down. Bring yourself to a dog pose and take a little time here, pedaling your feet. Let's get our calves to open up, our hamstrings to open up. How's the breath? Maybe you want to play and puff out one cheek at a time. Maybe you want to puff out both cheeks. Ground yourself here. Feel a sense of stillness on the outside so that the movement on the inside becomes very apparent. All this breath. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, a forward fold. Relax your head. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through your spine. Take a little time, pedal your feet if you'd like, dropping one hip back, maybe dropping the other hip back, and just kind of find some movement in the pelvis, in the low back, in the legs. All right, ground yourself here, feel that full forward fold. And then when you're ready, push through your feet, rising up, arms coming to the sky. Lens cactus, open your chest, expand your wings, open heart. Exhale, round and chin toward chest. One more time. Up you go, big breath. Exhale and relax your hands toward each other. Find that centered line again. Just enjoy that grounding. Maybe your eyes are closed and we're focused on that midline, focused on the breath, focused on the grounding. Do you feel at home in your body? Your body thanks you for sure for all you've already done. This mobilization practices are so good for us. Inhale, arms up, and then exhale, a big swan dive forward. Halfway lift, expand through the heart. Exhale, melting back down. Step back to a dog pose. Feel that full extension in your body. Lift and widen your sit bones. Ground through your hands and your feet and breathe. On your next inhale, come forward into a plank and feel that support. Push the ground away. Find your center body. Drop your shoulder blades down the back a little bit more. Core is engaged. And we'll put our knees down on the ground and find the earth. Roll those shoulder blades a few times. Get some kinks out of your neck. And then when you're ready, rise up a cobra. Enjoy the back bend. Exhale. Coming back down one more time. Shoulder blades down, elbows back, neck long. Release on your exhale. Come up onto all fours. Give your spine some movement again. Wag your tail. Move around, breathe. And then we'll take our right foot forward, come to a lunge, keep your back knee down on the ground for a moment, and just feel that deep length. So reach your pelvis forward of your back knee. You're long in your lunge. We'll come back to a half Hanumasana. Walk the blocks back a little bit further, maybe a little bit higher so your chest can expand. Drop your right sit bone down toward the ground. Stay wide in your pelvis, lift the heart. All right, and then we'll come back to a lunge. Lift your back knee up off the ground and just enjoy how open your hips can become in this pose. So bending and straightening the front knees. Of course, our hamstrings will get a good stretch, but also our hip flexor of that back leg. So pay attention to the mobility of your hip joints. How's your breath? A lot of times we think of our hip joints as being mobile when we rotate them or bring them out to the sides like pigeon pose or something like that. But this is a lot of mobility too, just being able to flex deeply and extend deeply. Push through your feet, rise up. Full breaths here, expand through your heart. Look up if you can challenge your balance in some way. Maybe eyes squint or close, maybe one eye closes. Maybe puff your cheeks up again. Just challenge something different in the posture. How's your breath? Bring your hands back down onto the ground. Back foot comes forward, a deep fold. Feel those hamstrings opening. A halfway lift, expanding. And as you exhale, step your other foot back. Now our left foot is in front. Put your knee on the ground. Enjoy just this opening of the hip flexor of the back leg. Feeling that deep extension of that hip. And then when you feel ready for it, we'll come back toward a half Hanumasana. Take your time. If you're like, oh, I just love this hip stretch, then hang out there for a while. You never need to follow me. Follow your body first, always and forever. Come back to a half Hanumasana when you're ready. Hands up high on blocks so your chest can lift. Drop some weight into that left sit bone like an anchor. Flex your toes. Lift your heart. How's your breath? All right, then we'll come back to a lunge. Lift your back knee up off the ground, and we'll start to bend and straighten like we often warm up. Find the rhythm of your breath. Enjoy this opening of your legs. Doesn't it feel good to move? Can we just be so ever grateful, ever thankful for our mobility? Ground into your lunge, push through your feet, rise up, arms to the sky, or maybe your arms aren't doing that today and you're doing something different. Whatever you're choosing, challenge yourself out of your comfort zone just a little bit. Maybe you lift your front heel off the ground. Maybe you look up. Maybe you close your eyes. Just see what feels right to give yourself just that extra little stepping away from the usual of this posture. Hands coming down to the ground, step back to a dog. Feel that extension and breathe. Enjoy the 4 points of contact. All right, let's come forward into a plank. Enjoy that groundedness. Find the earth when you're ready. Lift up your feet and wiggle your toes, roll your ankles. And then take your legs a little wider. Bring your arms down next to your sides. Lift everything up. Stretch your hands back toward your feet. Point your toes. Feel the full back body engage. And then exhale and relax to come back down. Come up onto all fours and move around in your spine. Regain awareness of your breathing. And we'll step or not step, but stretch our left leg straight back in the air. Do some big circles now of the hip joint. So bringing that knee around to the side, back in, and then straight back again. And just finding some mobilization of that hip joint. Okay. Then change directions. Knee up toward your chest, out to the side and around. Right, and then stretch back towards child's pose. Walk the hands forward, maybe roll around in your wrists. And we'll come back up to all fours. Other leg out. Start by bringing your knee out, up toward your armpit, underneath you and back. Just some big range of motion, big circle sweeps in that hip joint. Stabilizing with your arms, that leg on the ground, your core, making sure you're breathing. And then we'll switch directions. Big movements. Relax back toward a child's pose one more time. And bring your legs together for a moment. Knees touch, ankles touch, feet touch. And then we'll lift up into a dog pose. Take some time here. Maybe you want to ground and breathe. Maybe you want to pedal. And we'll walk our feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Bring your hands underneath your feet for a moment. Palms underneath your feet. Walk your toes all the way to your wrists. Bend your knees. Melt your spine. And then straighten your legs as much as you can. Don't worry that they won't go all the way straight. Chest forward. And then release. Take your hands out from under your feet and melt to a forward fold. Push through your feet, rising up. Tracing through the center. Pause for a breath or two where you feel that grounding of your feet. Close your eyes maybe. Find your breath. Come up onto your toes. Maybe open your eyes a little bit. Engage your core. And then back onto your heels. Okay. Let's turn sideways on your mat and take some wide legs. Elbows inside your knees. Our hips should be nice and warm from what we've already done, but let's just take a deep squat here so we are sure that our hips can move in this direction. And then we'll come all the way back up to stand. Standing star. And then we'll exhale, dropping down to a squat. Inhale, coming back up. Let's stay this time. As we come down, put your hands anywhere you want. And remember, you can be a little higher, you can be a little lower. Be aware you're self-sustaining. Don't worry about depth. Think more about space, heart space, shoulders over pelvis. Round into the four corners of your feet and open your knees up. Nice low center of gravity. Big belly breaths. Standing star, reaching your limbs wide. And then heel toe your feet back in towards center. Neutral stance. Full breaths here. Let's come onto our right foot and bring our left knee up in the air. And just a little challenge of balance, just nice and gentle here before we start moving. Okay, and then bring your arms out to the sides like a T, palms facing down. And we're just going to swing, just like we did when we were on all fours. See if you can keep steady with your core, with your standing leg, with your gaze, as you open your knee out to the side, and then bring your knee down and just do a one-legged circle. Okay. Like a prep for a tree pose, which we're going to do. And then relax your arms, relax your foot, and just check in. How did that make your sacrum feel? How's your low back? Were you self-supporting with the groundedness of your leg and your core and your hip? So as we come to do the same thing on the second side, of course, we're paying attention to the movement that's happening, but see if you can also pay attention to the stabilizing forces of the standing leg. Stand on your left leg, lift your right knee up. Okay, focus your gaze, gather your breath. Bring your arms out to the side, palms facing down. You can have your palms facing up or forward, but sometimes the energy of palms down gives you something to connect to the earth through the palms. Okay, and then we'll open up that knee. So just a few circles with that right knee. Pay attention to your left hip, nice and stable, thigh bone back. Notice how much your foot, your knee, your core, your hips, your glutes, your gaze, there's a lot that goes into this. All right. And then we'll put our foot down and relax your arms. Pause and just enjoy the groundedness. Full breaths here. We're going to do two balance poses. First, we'll do tree pose, and then we're going to do figure four pose. So you can always be close to a wall if you need to. Let's start with our right foot on the ground. Remember, your left foot your toes can be still touching the ground. Your foot can be close down at your lower leg, or your foot can be high up at your upper leg. So choose the way you want to be in your tree. Find your breath. Maybe your arms come up in the air. Maybe they don't. Soften your gaze. And then challenge this pose in some way. Maybe you are looking up. Maybe you're squinting your eyes. Maybe you're opening your knee just a little bit more. Just see what you can do to open this pose up to a bit of an uncomfortable place. And then we'll put the foot down. Round your 2 feet. One of the things that I notice is that when I do the pose with my foot up high, it's actually much easier on my hip joint. When I do the put, and you might be different, but when I put my foot lower, I actually have to work harder for the rotation in my hip. So sometimes choosing, it's different from what you typically choose. So if you always do up high, maybe try down a little bit lower today and see what that feels. Or if you always choose down lower, maybe go up a little higher. Hip in, thigh bone back. Find the openness, the rotation of that hip joint. Reach your arms wherever the body takes you. And then make sure you're challenging yourself in some way where either your balance is challenged by your gaze, or maybe your balance is challenged by where you're placing your foot, maybe where you're placing your arms. Just find what you can. And then we'll release that foot down onto the ground. Up onto your toes. And then fold forward. And just let your hips relax a moment. Take your feet apart. Maybe you want to wag your tail a little bit, or shimmy, or swing your elephant trunk, whatever feels neutralizing. And then as you come back up, when we come into figure 4, this pose is, I think, it's a little more challenging because of the rotation. So if you want to put your butt against a piece of furniture or a wall to take the balance out of the equation, you can always do that if that's something you're working on. Or you can do it right in the middle of the room and have a wall close by to hold, whatever is good for you. We'll stand on our right leg, left foot on your right knee, kind of like a reverse pigeon pose, and come down toward a squat, like a chair pose. Maybe your arms hold on to something. Maybe your arms come up in the air. Maybe your arms are wide. Maybe you keep your hands close in. Okay, find your breath. Soften your gaze. Puff out both your cheeks. Gently. Okay, and just breathe there. Relax your cheeks. When you feel ready, we'll lift on up, bring that knee up in the air, and then place that foot down, arms down at your sides. So hopefully you're finding something that's challenging you, that's taking you outside of your comfort zone, that's making you feel a little wobbly in the mind, a little wobbly in the body. And see if you can just enjoy the discomfort, live in it, instead of being like, oh, I have to do this thing now and then I can get back to my usual happy comfort place. See if you can just really expand your capacity to enjoy your discomfort. Okay. All right, let's put our right foot on our left knee and come down to squat. Notice if your hip wants to hike out or forward. Keep the hip in. Draw the femur bone back. Active with your foot on your knee. Put your arms anywhere you want to put the arms. Okay. Pay attention to how this side feels, maybe the same or differently from the other. Challenge something. Maybe close your eyes. Maybe be very aware of drawing your femur bones way back and widening your sit bones. Maybe pay attention to the sole of your foot pressing into the ground. Maybe puff out your cheeks. And then we'll come out. That pose, lift your knee up, our foot down, and enjoy and breathe for a moment. Sometimes we can get so serious about balance. One of the joys of balancing, for instance, on a paddleboard with water is that if you fall, it's no big deal. It's fun. So can you return the aspect of fun back into your balance practice where things don't have to be so serious. Playfulness. Come up onto your toes. Look up high. And then exhale and float forward. A halfway lift. Expand your body. Exhale, back to a dog and enjoy. Ooh, we're so close to the ground. Just notice that. Feel how good it is. Come down and rest in child's pose. Let's sit up on our heels, grab whatever props you need or want for a pigeon pose. Okay. And as you find the props that you want, make sure that as you come into this pose that your body is in a good place. You can always reverse your pigeon if need be. You want to check in with all your joint spaces and make sure everything's in good space, good alignment, good comfort. This is not, you don't want to have discomfort in the sense of pain signals traveling through your joints. So make sure there's no red flags. Extend your spine and rest your body. A deep breath in, a long exhale. Now, instead of puffing your cheeks out, see if you can kind of like make the horse noise, horse breath, exhales, where you just relax your cheeks and let them flutter on your breath. And even if you're not, used to doing that, just do your best to try to find like a sense of deep ease. And if that doesn't feel easeful, just melt and let your whole face kind of fall off the bones a little bit and just melt your cheeks. When you feel ready to switch sides, you can, there's no rush. And of course, you can be doing reverse pigeon or any other hip stretch that feels good to your body. Your heel can be close in or pulled out a little further. Just kind of scan your joints, your hip and your knee, your SI joint, your ankle, your low back. Find all the places where there might be, a little bit of resistance and see what you can do to find a place that's comfortable for the joints. Lengthen your spine, and as you come into the posture, melt. Maybe you want to do some more of that horse exhale. Maybe you want to just relax through your jaw, softening your tongue, softening your cheeks. Feel like you're going to drool. Just let anything go. Alright. We'll come out of that pose when you're ready. And as you prepare for Shavasana, is there anything else that your body needs? Is there a stretch that your body needs? Is there um, any kink that you need to kind of work out a little bit? So just complete your practice the way you want. Do any moves or poses that feel good. Take a little time to kind of scan and say, oh, do I need a little of this or a little of that? And then when you do feel ready to rest your body, take a little time to get yourself comfortable. Feel free to drop some weight, feel a sense of drop of your whole body. Soften across your face. See if you can feel the subtlety of some ease. Relax and melt. Let's begin to take a deep breath. Move around in any way that feels good in your body. And we'll eventually find our way to our side. Be very slow and gentle with yourself as you transition out of Shavasana. Come back upright when you're ready. No need to puff your cheeks or do anything unusual, but just find your breath. Let the simple art of taking a slow pace of your breathing give you the gift of regulating your nervous system very quickly. We can find a subtle change in our regulation just by being aware of a nice slow breath. Bring your hands together at your heart when you're ready. And let's offer the gift of our practice, everything that we do to care for ourselves, to keep ourselves steady and free. This is a gift to everyone in our lives. So let's share our energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.